Does consciousness continue forever? Or is the question itself unnecessary? Edge of Becoming. Episode 18, Being Without Continuity. If we cannot prove that consciousness has vanished, does that mean it never ends? Or does it mean the idea of ending was never appropriate to begin with? Let's explore three possibilities. Possibility 1. Consciousness is eternal. If we can't prove its disappearance, perhaps that means it cannot disappear. We are unable to deny its continuity, so maybe it must continue. Like energy, consciousness might persist by shifting forms. In this world, consciousness survives even when the body dies. It may expand into collective memory or cosmic awareness. Personal identity fades, but consciousness itself continues. This aligns with spiritual ideas like reincarnation, the collective unconscious, or even future visions of digital minds and uploaded brains. Conclusion: if its disappearance is unprovable, we may treat consciousness as indestructible. Possibility 2. Consciousness doesn't continue, it simply is. What if continuation versus disappearance misunderstands the nature of consciousness? These are temporal ideas, bound to time. But what if consciousness exists beyond time itself? Then the question shifts. From does it persist to does it need to? In this world, consciousness is not a process in time, but a presence outside of it. It isn't something that lasts, it simply is. This echoes ideas from Buddhism's emptiness, shunyata, Taoism's the way, Tao, physics' idea that time may not truly exist. Conclusion: consciousness doesn't continue or end, it simply exists. Possibility 3. The question is obsolete. Maybe even asking whether consciousness continues or disappears is the real error. That question assumes consciousness fits within the frame of time, but if it doesn't, then the frame breaks. The binary of exists, doesn't exist, becomes meaningless. In this world, there is no need to ask if consciousness is there or gone. Being itself is the complete state. The question dissolves. This resonates with Zen's no mind, Mushin, or the quantum entanglement of being and observer. Conclusion: the question, does consciousness continue, might be one we never needed to ask. The absence of absence. So does consciousness continue forever? Or does the very idea of continuation versus disappearance simply not apply? Let's revisit the three perspectives. Consciousness is eternal. It persists by changing form. Consciousness continues in some way. Consciousness simply is. It transcends the frame of continuation-disappearance. Consciousness is just there. The question itself is unnecessary. Consciousness goes beyond binary thought. There is no need to ask whether it exists or not. So which answer is most accurate? That depends entirely on how we define consciousness. If it's seen as individual awareness, then asking whether it continues or ends makes sense. If it's understood as existence itself, the question dissolves. If it's something transcendent, it may lie beyond presence or absence. Each definition gives rise to a different answer. So, conclusion: whether consciousness continues or not depends on how we define it. And now comes the next question. If consciousness continues forever, what for? If it transcends continuation itself, how does it exist? And if we no longer even need to ask whether it exists or not, does that mean we have reached the complete liberation of consciousness? The final question, if even the question, does consciousness exist, no longer applies, is that the ultimate form of freedom, or does the very idea of freedom also dissolve?